It's Thursday, the 4th of April, 2024. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories, 5 minutes. Let's get going. Story number 1, the popularity of electric vehicles is waning worldwide, with the two big manufacturers, Tesla and BYD, reporting slumping sales.
Yes, so Tesla became the most popular electric vehicle in the world during the March quarter, retaking the title from China's BYD, but neither manufacturer had much to skite about. Tesla delivered about 387,000 vehicles. It was expected to deliver 450,000. It was 20% lower than the December quarter. BYD sold 300,000 vehicles in March quarter, even though it cut the costs of almost every model in its lineup. It's been pushing this slogan, electricity is cheaper than oil. The steam has really come out of the EV market. Higher interest rates have dampened consumer demand. Tesla's also had a bunch of disruptions to its manufacturing plants. The big manufacturers also say that demand for EVs isn't what it was. Charging stations and the time it takes to fill up, so to speak, remains a big issue, as does cost. General Motors, Ford and Toyota have all upped their focus on hybrid vehicles away from EVs. For example, last year, hire car group Hertz announced a major sell-off of EVs in its fleet. Combined together, that's a key reason why Tesla's share price is down more than 30% this year, the second worst of the S&P 500.
I love that you say the steam's come out of the EV market. Maybe that was the problem in the first place, Sean.
Perhaps.
They're trying to use steam. What about in Australia? That was the global perspective. Is the same thing happening here?
Too early to tell. Certainly EVs are no longer a novelty. Last year, sales were up about 120%. There are now more than 180,000 EVs on Australian roads. About half of those were bought last year. We don't have figures for the March quarter yet. Charging infrastructure locations are up about 75% on a year ago, 812 stations across the country. Federal and state government incentives are supporting sales. Tesla Model Y, Tesla Model 3, BYD, Atto 3 and MGM4 are the main sellers. In fact, there are 99 EVs available in Australia, believe it or not. But given the trend overseas and the cost of living crisis, it won't be a surprise to see at least a slowdown in the growth of EVs when the figures are eventually released.
Story number 2, Sean. This is a bit of a worry, this one. Coffee prices are on the rise. What does this mean for coffee lovers like you and me and probably about every second other Australian?
Yeah, it's not good news. Now, late last year, coffee prices spiked. In fact, they hit a one-year high, but then they came back to more normal levels. Now they're up again over the past couple of days. Nothing like the spike in cocoa prices that we've seen over the past 3 or 4 months or so. But still, Vietnam is the problem here. It's a big coffee producer, second only to Brazil, ahead of Colombia, Indonesia and Honduras. The Vietnamese Coffee Association has said exports are likely to be down about 20% this financial year. That reduction in supply has put pressure on prices. Now, there's a drought going on in Vietnam, so don't be surprised if your barista starts charging you more.
Story number 3, Samantha Mostyn will become the second woman to serve as Governor-General of Australia. This is a big announcement yesterday.
It is. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese appointed Ms Mostyn as the 28th Governor-General, saying she'll bring valuable new insights and experience to the role. She's the daughter of an army officer, grew up in Canberra as a lawyer by training, worked at a bunch of places, Reconciliation Australia, Beyond Blue, the Australian Council for the Arts, National Mental Health Commission, the first commissioner of the AFL, also a great advocate for gender equity. She's currently president of Chief Executive Women. Ms Mostyn says she's deeply honoured and looks forward to representing the values and hopes and aspirations of all Australians. She'll replace David Hurley in July.
Story number 4, Network 7 allegedly reimbursed Bruce Lerman for the cost of illicit drugs and prostitutes and covered other perks, including more than $10,000 for Thai massages, over $110,000 for accommodation and flights to Tasmania to play golf. This is all based on the claims by a former 7 producer.
Former Spotlight staffer Taylor Orbach has sworn affidavits detailing the network's efforts to convince Mr Lerman to do a tell-all interview and the destruction of records by Mr Orbach and a colleague afterwards, and a bid to escape legal scrutiny, according to the Financial Review. The 3 affidavits were part of a bid by Network 10 to introduce new evidence into a defamation case brought by Mr Lerman against the network and its former journalist Lisa Wilkinson. That year-long lawsuit was due to be resolved in a judgment from Federal Court Justice Michael Lee this morning. Instead, Mr. Orbach will enter the witness box this afternoon. The judgment will likely come next week. Mr. Lerman is suing Tenon Wilkinson over a February 2021 episode of The Project, in which former parliamentary staffer Brittany Higgins was interviewed about allegedly being raped in a Parliament House office in March 2019.
Last one, story number 5. The worst earthquake in 25 years to hit Taiwan has triggered building collapses and, for a period, tsunami warnings.
The earthquake measured 7.4 in magnitude and struck at 8 a.m. local time on the east coast of the island. There's been casualties, including deaths, so the numbers are unclear at this early stage. The tremor was felt strongly in capital Taipei, where buildings swayed. At least 26 buildings have collapsed, and while a tsunami warning was issued for the country and parts of Japan, the waves weren't large. The island is prone to both earthquakes and typhoons.
All right, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Thursday, the 4th of April, 2024. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed, wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.